Hey guys, after I did that last video I realized that probably a lot of people would want to know how to make one of these things fit on one of these bumpers, and I kind of felt like I shorted Mr. Smith Sr. on what we were doing because all I did was the servo winch. So now we're going to go through and I'm going to show you everything I did to make this piece work on this bumper, and it will go on the orange New Kaiser. Let's get started. All right, I think I got everything together. Now, because I don't have a Tamiya battery and I don't really plan on having one, I had to make an adapter. This is actually a part from a wiring harness on a golf car, but I trimmed it out to make it work so that this thing will plug right into it. So remember to line up your red to red, black to black, that way everything comes out the way it's supposed to. Just like that. And of course this one plugs into, come on, figure it out. This one plugs into the winch. And of course I can't find the battery. Anyway, here's the battery we're going to use. Plug that in. And then we got the winch. Now, the way this is set up, you push the button and it's got a second or so delay, and it pays out. And then again, just a brief delay on the reaction. You hit the other button and it takes it back up. And just remember to let off before you suck that thing in there, so you don't want to overwind your cord or snap your cord and lose your hook. All right, that's how all of that has turned out. The thing does seem to work okay. I don't know about the range yet, but I'm sure I'll figure that out as we go along. Anyway, in order to get this to fit on the New Kaiser, I had to take the bumper off because I have to trim this piece because I need to push the bumper out, but I don't want to push it out any further than I have to. So I trimmed the plate up on this end so that the holes will line up here and it'll put the winch out a little further. This thing is it's multi-directional. You can put it in that way or you can put it in that way if you want to pull the winch back into the body instead of pushing it out away from the body. But I like the look of it being further out because I don't want to chop up my body, so it'll be going in like that. Of course, this is going to be metal screws into the aluminum case, so make sure you use some Loctite when you put the screws in. All right, I'm going to get that put together and I'll be right back. One thing that you do want to remember is the screw holes that are underneath the body of the winch. You're going to have to put those screws in before you tighten everything down on this base plate. Otherwise, you're going to have to bend it out of shape, get it to work, and that's never going to look good. But as long as you've got one screw in there still, take one of the silver screws and drop it in on this side. And you can rotate it around so you can put the screw in on the other side. And yes, I did notice that I just dropped that screw out of there because I am an idiot, but I'm a really good idiot. Right? You rotate that back around and then you can continue putting the screws in the body like that. Of course, I'm going to Loctite all of these, but you guys don't want to watch that, so let's move on. All right, after you've got those screws in there like that, you got all four of your little black screws in, and you made sure to put your little silver screws in there like that. Take that, drop it in place. Now this is going to be a little tricky because there's no real room to get a screwdriver in there. You kind of got to get the nut on there like that. Anyway, what you're going to have to do is get the nut on in there and then hold the screw with a pair of pliers. I generally use these because they get in there pretty well and they hold everything in place. And then you can tighten the nut down. The front ones are a real bear to get in. The rear ones aren't quite so bad. They're pretty open, and you can just drop the screws and nuts in place. All right, I'll get that done and then we'll move on again. All right, after some not quite so child-friendly words, I finally got that monkey mounted up there. And everything seems to be okay. A bit of a design flaw there with the screws being underneath the body. Those things were a real bear to get in there because, of course, they're the ones further back in the mount down there. Now, I've got this pretty well centered. I wanted to try to keep the body of it inside the frame of the bumper. As you can tell, this bumper has not been treated gently. The best way I found to do this was to actually just take the bumper off. It just made everything so much easier than trying to fight with this thing and wrestle the body while you're doing it. So the 4 screws came out and it came off. Now, you've already seen how all of this stuff works. Now let's see if we can get it put together inside the truck. All right, for this section, what we're going to do is we're going to lay this section out like this. With those screws out, we can take the inner fender flare off. We can tie all of this up out of the way back here with the servo wires and the auxiliary light wires, of course. And this piece can just be stuck either to the side there, or we can move it over here to the other side out of the way. Either way, I think it'll work. I think moving it over here might be the best bet because there is that little slot on the back side of the battery box for wiring. We'll just move it over there for now. I have a feeling I'm going to end up putting my battery on that side as well. And then we put the wheel well back on. Then we'll get the bumper mounted and get the body mounted, and then we'll do the adjustments for the bumper to make sure that everything clears the body so we don't have any issues getting everything back on there. All right, back in a minute. All right, I got the 4 bolts in the bumper. Now all we got to do is figure out how much room we're going to take up with that bumper against the body. I don't want to push the bumper out too far because then you're just asking to have issues. Why are we having issues? This truck has to have a shorter battery because of the interior that's in it. The interior was not designed for this truck in the least. A little bit of hold up on the wires up front, but nothing we can't handle. And that's actually looks like it's going to set pretty well right there. So the bumper's still far enough out. I can pull it in a little bit and not foul the body too much. I think I'm going to have to move that wire. Because where the body comes down, it's just hitting too much. So I'm going to have to run that up underneath the front bumper mount. And that should get us a clearance we need. Down and up and under and all of that stuff. I have to relocate that piece, but after we get the bumper winch mounted, shouldn't really be an issue. Should be able to just pull everything snug along the side of the servo to keep it out of the way. There you go. A little bit of a reroute for the wiring. I'll move that over there. And then we can run that up there. Now that should give our body the clearance we need. But as I can get these wires all laid back in there the way they're supposed to be. Now, Helps if you're paying attention to what you're doing, not looking at other stuff. That should clear us right there. I got to tie up some more wiring real quick, and then we'll make this thing work like a dream. All right, there it is, all mounted up. I finally got it to clear. I had some wiring that was giving me a hassle underneath the body, mostly, like I said, because of the interior that I put in here. Wasn't for this model, but you know how that goes. You just kind of make things work. We got the winch out front. It's still smooth enough that we're not going to catch on it every time we go out. This thing, I don't know what to do with this thing. I'll probably end up clipping that on the controller so that I can control it while I'm out. By the way, this little dinky knob here on the side, as far as I can tell, it doesn't do anything. It's just there for looks, but it's a nice touch. Let's see. If you guys have got any questions or anything, let me know in the comments down below. Give me a thumbs up, a fingers up, monkey and ducks, and I don't care, whatever. Anything to screw with the YouTube algorithm. Let's get this thing outside, and that'll be the finish up for this one. We're gonna have to improvise our pull point this time. Well, there you go. Mr. Jason Smith Sr. That's exactly how that works. Questionable placement of batteries and so forth and so on is entirely up to you. But it works. It works just fine. Like I said, this hill is almost unmanageable without a winch. So, get out there and enjoy your cars.